Translation. But if you do not, and you will never be able to, then fear the fire, whose fuel is men and stones, prepared for the disbelievers. Tafsir. But if you do it not, and you can never do it. Indicating that they will never be able to answer the challenge. This is another miracle, in that, Allah clearly stated without doubt that the Quran will never be opposed or challenged by anything similar to it, for eternity. This is a true statement that has not been changed until the present and shall never change. How can anyone be able to produce something like the Quran, when the Quran is the word of Allah who created everything? How can the words of the created ever be similar to the words of the Creator? Examples of the miracle of the Quran. Whoever reads through the Quran will realize that it contains various levels of superiority through both the apparent and hidden meanings that it mentions. Allah said, Alif Lam Ra. This is a book, the verses whereof are perfect, in every sphere of knowledge, etc., and then explained in detail from one, Allah, who is wise and well acquainted with all things. 11:1. So the expressions in the Quran are perfect and its meanings are explained. Further, every word and meaning in the Quran is eloquent and cannot be surpassed. The Quran also mentioned the stories of the people of the past, and these accounts and stories occurred exactly as the Quran stated. Also, the Quran commanded every type of righteousness and forbade every type of evil, just as Allah stated. And the word of your Lord has been fulfilled in truth and in justice. 6:115. Meaning, true in the stories it narrates and just in its laws. The Quran is true, just and full of guidance. It does not contain exaggerations, lies or falsehood, unlike Arabic and other types of poems that contained lies. These poems conform with the popular statement. The most eloquent speech is the one that contains the most lies. Sometimes, one would find a long poem that mainly contains descriptions of women, horses or alcohol. Or, the poem might contain praise or the description of a certain person, horse, camel, war, incident, fear, lion, or other types of items and objects. Such praise or descriptions do not bring any benefit, except shed light on the poet's ability to clearly and eloquently describe such items. Yet, one will only be able to find one or two sentences in many long poems that elaborate on the main theme of the poem, while the rest of the poem contains insignificant descriptions and repetitions. As for the Quran, it is entirely eloquent in the most perfect manner, as those who have knowledge in such matters and understand Arabic methods of speech and expressions concur. When one reads through the stories in the Quran, he will find them fruitful, whether they were in extended or short forms, repeated or not. The more these stories are repeated, the more fruitful and beautiful they become. The Quran does not become old when one repeats reciting it, nor do the scholars ever get bored with it. When the Quran mentions the subject of warning and promises, it presents truths that would make solid, firm mountains shake, so what about the comprehending, understanding hearts? When the Quran promises, it opens the hearts and the ears, making them eager to attain the abode of peace, paradise, and to be the neighbors of the throne of the Most Beneficent. For instance, on the subject of promises and encouragement, the Quran said, no person knows what is kept hidden for them of joy as a reward for what they used to do. 32:17. And there will be therein all that inner selves could desire, and all that eyes could delight in, and you will abide therein forever. 43:71. On the subject of warning and discouragement. Do you then feel secure that he will not cause a side of the land to swallow you up? 17:68. And do you feel secure that he, who is over the heaven Allah, will not cause the earth to sink with you, and then it should quake? Or do you feel secure that he, who is over the heaven Allah, will not send against you a violent whirlwind? Then you shall know how terrible has been my warning. 67:16-17. On the subject of threats, the Quran said, so we punished each of them for his sins. 29:40. Also, on the subject of soft advice, the Quran said, tell me, even if we do let them enjoy for years, and afterwards comes to them that punishment which they had been promised, all that with which they used to enjoy shall not avail them. 26:205-207. There are many other examples of the eloquence, beauty, and benefits of the Quran. When the Quran is discussing laws, commandments and prohibitions, it commands every type of righteous, good, pleasing and beneficial act. It also forbids every type of evil, disliked and amoral act. Ibn Mas'ud and other scholars of the Salaf said, when you hear what Allah said in the Quran, such as, O you who believe, then listen with full attention, for it either contains a type of righteousness that Allah is enjoining, or an evil that he is forbidding. For instance, Allah said, he Muhammad peace be upon him, commands them for al-ma'ruf, that is, Islamic monotheism and all that Islam has ordained, and forbids them from al-munkar, that is disbelief, polytheism of all kinds, and all that Islam has forbidden, he allows them as lawful at tayyibat, i.e. all good and lawful things, and prohibits them as unlawful al-kabaith, that is all evil and unlawful things, he releases them from their heavy burdens and from the fetters, bindings, that were upon them. 7. 157. When the ayat mention resurrection and the horrors that will occur on that day, and paradise and the fire and the joys and safe refuge that Allah prepared for his loyal friends, or torment and hell for his enemies, these ayat contain glad tidings or warnings. The ayat then call to perform good deeds and avoid evil deeds, making the life of this world less favorable and the hereafter more favorable. They also establish the correct methods and guide to Allah's straight path and just legislation, all the while ridding the hearts of the evil of the cursed devil. The Quran is the greatest miracle given to the Prophet peace be upon him. The two Sahihs record that Abu Hurairah said that the Prophet peace be upon him said, "Every Prophet peace be upon him was given a miracle, the type of which brings mankind to faith. What I was given is a revelation that Allah sent down to me. Yet, I hope that I will have the most following on the day of resurrection." This is the wording narrated by Muslim. The Prophet peace be upon him stated that among the prophets peace be upon them he was given a revelation, meaning, he was especially entrusted with the miraculous Quran that challenged mankind to produce something similar to it. As for the rest of the divinely revealed books, they were not miraculous according to many scholars. Allah knows best. The Prophet peace be upon him was also aided with innumerable signs and indications that testify to the truth of his prophethood and what he was sent with, all thanks and praise is due to Allah. Meaning of stones. Allah said, "Then fear the fire, hell, whose fuel is men and stones, prepared for the disbelievers." Fuel is wood or similar substances, used to start and feed a fire. Similarly, Allah said, "And as for the Qasitin, disbelievers who deviated from the right path, they shall be firewood for hell." 72:15. And certainly you, disbelievers, and that which you are worshipping now besides Allah, are but fuel for hell. Surely, you enter it. Had these idols been aliha, gods, they would not have entered there, hell, and all of them will abide therein. 21:98-99. The stones mentioned here are the giant, rotten, black, sulfuric stones that become the hottest when heated. May Allah save us from this evil end. It was also reported that the stones mentioned here are the idols and rivals that were worshipped instead of Allah, just as Allah said, "Certainly you, disbelievers, and that which you are worshipping now besides Allah, are but fuel for hell." 21:28. Allah's statement. Prepared for the disbelievers. It appears most obvious that it refers to the fire that is fueled by men and stones, and it also may refer to the stones themselves. There is no contradiction between these two views, because they are dependent upon each other. Prepared means, it is kept and will surely touch those who disbelieve in Allah and his messenger peace be upon him. Ibn Ishaq narrated that Muhammad peace be upon him said that Ikrimah or Sa'id bin Jubayr said that Ibn Abbas said, "Prepared for the disbelievers. For those who embrace the disbelief that you, disbelievers, have embraced. Jahannam, hellfire, exists now." Many of the Imams of the Sunnah used this ayah to prove that the fire exists now. This is because Allah said, "Prepared," meaning, prepared and kept. There are many hadiths on this subject. For instance, the Prophet peace be upon him said, "Paradise and the fire had an argument." Also, the Prophet peace be upon him said, "The fire sought the permission of her Lord. She said, 'O my Lord, some parts of me consumed the other parts.' And Allah allowed her 2 periods to exhale, one in winter and one in summer." Also, there is a hadith recorded from Ibn Mas'ud that the companions heard the sound of a falling object. When they asked about it, the Messenger of Allah peace be upon him said, "This is a stone that was thrown from the top of Jahannam 70 years ago, but only now reached its bottom." This hadith is in Sahih Muslim. There are many hadiths that are mutawatir, narrated by many different chains of narrations, on this subject, such as the hadiths about the eclipse prayer, the night of Isra etc. Allah's statements. Then produce a surah of the like thereof, 223, and a surah like it, 1038. This includes the short and long surahs of the Quran. Therefore, the challenge to creation stands with regards to both the long and short surahs, and there is no disagreement that I know of on this fact between the scholars of old and new. Before he became Muslim, Amr bin al-As met Musaylimah the liar who asked him, "What has recently been revealed to your fellow, meaning Muhammad peace be upon him, in Makkah?" Amr said, "A short, yet eloquent surah." He asked, "What is it?" He said, "By Al-Asr, the time. Verily, man is in loss." 103, 1-2. Musaylimah thought for a while and said, "A similar surah was also revealed to me." Amr asked, "What is it?" He said, O Waba, that is a wild cat, you are but 2 ears and a chest, and the rest of you is unworthy and thin." Amr said, by Allah. You know that I know that you are lying.